And we're back with another edition of Lakers Fast Break Spotlight on Lakerholics weekend. Laker Tom is MIA this afternoon, morning, early evening, wherever you're getting your Lakers in whatever time zone you are in, and that's one of the beauties of being a Laker fan. We're a global conglomerate, much like Pepsi or or Microsoft. Albeit probably with less economic sway. But be that as it may, we're here to talk about the Emirates Cup victory that we game one of the Emirates Cup with the funky courts and all that jazz. And in general, how the Lakers are playing since what looked like a disastrous, or what felt like a disastrous road trip. But I have to say they've bounced back. And the best part about that win last night, for me personally, was that it came on the road. We're in the middle of an incredible streak of games from LeBron James, where he's averaging a triple-double. He's had a triple-double the last 4 games. He's playing some of the best basketball I can imagine a man his age playing. I don't know if he can keep it up all year.
Probably.
but if he can, he's going to be in the MVP race at 40 years old, which is absolutely crazy to even think about. Along with his teammate Anthony Davis, who's, I think back to leading the league in scoring. Maybe not after De'Aaron Fox's 60-point outburst. I don't know he's like 1 or 2 in the league in scoring right now.
I think he's 1 now.
He's back to 1 after that 40 points.
The Greek Freak was the guy that was slightly ahead of him by.
Yeah, they're both carrying their teams. Both Giannis and AD are carrying their respective teams. AD is doing a better job of it because the supporting cast is better. And I would even argue that the coach is better, because I've never been a big fan of Ubuntu Doc Rivers. But, it is what it is. And we're not going to talk about the Bucks much. But it's been great to watch the Lakers turn it around since the road trip. And I think where it's happened the most consistently is on cleaning up some of the things on defense and streamlining the rotation by putting D'Angelo Russell on the bench. We'll have El Rob here in a little bit. It won't just be Michael and I, although that would not be bad. But we'll have El Rob here in about 20 minutes. And as I said, Laker Tom's out. So Michael, your thoughts on on game one of the Emirates Cup last night?
Well, going into that game, it was a game that I was a little bit worried about, because the Spurs aren't pushovers anymore, and they're a young team. They've got a couple of vets to stabilize the youth, and they play extremely hard. And so, I was a little bit concerned because they can beat anybody on any given night. They just, but they are young, and you saw the youth come through. Good and bad for them. I was really impressed with Max Christie. We had seen glimpses of him over the last couple of years, and that was those glimpses was why he got the contract he got. But he showed up big last night, especially on the defensive end. He showed up really, really big on the defensive end. Yeah. I'm just thinking, you know what? He had such high expectations. Just kind of wonder what kind of start he would have gotten if we started on the road instead of at home. because he was pressing. He was probably pressing. So we'll see. But for one game, he was great. My biggest takeaway is, Wemby. He's been crowned the face of the NBA going forward, and he may end up being that guy, but he's 7'4" and weighs 209 pounds.
Yeah.
I'm 6'4". I outweigh him by 20.
Right.
Max Christie is stronger than him. It was obvious that Max Christie was actually stronger than Wemby.
Yeah.
And so he has to get stronger. He has to put on some weight.
Yeah.
And you can't be shooting 14 3-point shots when you're a 33% shouter from 3.
Listen, you don't have to talk to me. You won't have to convince me about the myth of the stretch 5. I couldn't agree with you more. I think that the Spurs will turn a corner offensively when they tell Wembanyama to play elbows in. Elbows in where AD is operating these days. And AD went through a similar phase, right? AD went through I'm this, frail, willy player, and I need to play 15 to 30 feet away from the basket to be the best version of myself, shooting these step back fadeaways. And these are all beautiful shots. They're fun to watch the guy shoot. They're really fun to watch the guy shoot when they go in. They're not quality shots. And if you listen, depending on what broadcast you listen to, I tend to always try to listen to the Spectrum broadcast.
That's the one I listen to too.
With Bill McDonald and Stu Lance. And Stu Lance in the fourth quarter, late third, early fourth, was harping on quality shots. He was like, or down the stretch in the fourth when the game was on the line, he was like, you just want to generate a quality shot. And a step back 20-foot I don't care, even for Steph Curry, with the game on the line, a step back 20-foot shooter shot as the first shot you take in the offense is not the quality shot. 5 seconds or less on the shot clock, the defense has pushed you out of what you're trying to do. Fine. That's a fine shot. Nobody's going to complain about that. With 17 seconds left on the clock and you barely run any action and you just launch a step back 2 or even 3 or whatever, wherever you shoot the shot from, it's a bad shot. I don't care who's shooting it. I don't care who's shooting it. So,
yeah, and Wemby doesn't attack the rim either. I mean,
no. Well, I think he's right.
He gets dunks, set up dunks,
off
lobs, or he'll get putbacks. But actual aggression towards the rim, he didn't get to the free throw line, and he only averages 3.5 free throws a game.
That's a problem.
It is
for a guy that size, he should be shooting close to double digits, but from operating in the paint alone. But here's the thing. He can't, because of his lack of strength, because of his lack of a back pocket, he's not a post player. He's not backing. He can't back Max Christie down. So he's not backing down. He's not backing down Joker or Embiid or AD or anybody in his size class. And his weight class is in the point guard range, right?
Right.
Those are bulky guards in the NBA, but they're all guards are around 200 pounds. And he's not much heavier. So he's got to, like you said, he's got to put on muscle. He's got to add some weight. And I think he really needs to look at some of the classic centers post moves and start using those further out because he's so tall. A step takes him to the rim. If he could develop a drop step of some kind, he could
you should watch some Kareem film.
Kareem, and who had a great drop step that nobody talks about was Shaquille O'Neal. Shaquille O'Neal had a devastating drop step. Yeah. Because you couldn't push him off of it. He could just spin into you and move you with the move. He just moved you out of the way. Some would call it hooking. And sometimes it was a hook. The hook is actually when you put your arm out and sweep the guy. It's not when you move with your body. That's a legal move as I understand the interpretation of the move. If Wemby could develop a drop step, I think he would be as close to unguardable as any player in the NBA because he can shoot, because he makes pretty good reads with the basketball when he makes a pass. He generally makes the right pass, bounce, not bounce, lob. And all of that will improve over time. But the skill that I would like to see him develop, I don't know that the skill I think he needs to develop, I would rather he doesn't because that means he won't be a threat to the Lakers, but is a drop step. If he could develop a drop step move where he pivots around his man and takes a step to the basket, he'll make plays. He'll make points or he'll make plays, and it's going to be devastating. He doesn't have that in the arsenal right now. It's not in the toolkit. Another guy on San Antonio that I was impressed with is Castle, their rookie.
He was really good.
He was great, especially down the stretch. That guy attacks the rim. Like you say, they need Wembanyama in the paint. If he's not in the paint finishing through contact, he's not going to get to the line. And if you're playing through a big man, unless it's Jokic, who is just some sort of freak of efficiency, you're not going to be playing fast and furious enough to keep up with the best teams. Cleveland is an example of a team that, with big men, still plays fast because they've bought into the pass. Yeah. They're not dribbling the ball. They're not watching somebody try to back their man down for 7 or 8 seconds. The ball is moving around the perimeter, across the court, to the open man, and that guy is taking the shot. And it's a lot of fun to watch Cleveland play right now. I don't know if anybody watches Cleveland. Do yourself a favor. If you like watching fun, quick, crisp basketball, It's a hard thing to say, quick and crisp, right next to each other. I didn't think I was going to do it, but there it was. The Cavs. The Cavs are like the best, clearly the best team in basketball right now. Kenny Atkinson has gotten them to all buy into this idea that you can't defend faster than we can pass. And that's always been true. It's just that when you come up through AAU, when you come up being the best player on your college team, you develop a skill set of, I'm going to do this by myself. And that's what's pushed on the modern NBA player, is that you've got to have these ISO one-on-one, break your man down skills. You've got to have a crossover. You've got to get to the cup with or without a screen. And that's the concept of teamwork at this point. The Cavs are throwing it back to a different era of basketball where you just passed until the defense couldn't keep up and you generated an open shot because everybody knows where they're supposed to be. Everybody's moving to their spots and the pass gets there and you've got an open shot or you've got an open lane and you take the lane or you take the shot.
The Lakers, not to the same extent, but they're doing a better job of that this year.
They're better at that this year than last. You're absolutely right. I would like to, but so to that, I think that, everybody's like, oh, AD needs to take more threes. Wemby's going to average like 10 threes a game. I think it's a mistake. And I think you're probably in agreement. Like, I don't mind AD. Look, again, 5 seconds on the clock. It kicks the ball out to AD and he's at the 3-point line. You take the shot. You absolutely take the shot. Or if like the screener goes under the screen so far that he's standing there wide open at the 3-point line, you take the shot. But do I think we need to run plays to get AD 3-pointers? Absolutely not. I don't think that that's a recipe for success. I think it's a broken play or into shot clock play where AD should and is taking 3-pointers. And he wasn't doing that the last 2 years for whatever reason. He felt like his shot had abandoned him, or I don't know if his legs weren't right or his knee wasn't right or something was going on. He's taking those shots this year, and it's helping the Laker offense because you just don't want to be thinking. And I think that was the problem with Max Christie earlier, to your point. Max Christie looked like he was trying to work out an algebra problem on the court while he's playing basketball. And you're just not going to play your best basketball that way.
Yeah. I think that you run 3-point shots for motion shooters. AD's not a motion shooter.
No.
He's a standstill, set up shooter, and so
he needs his feet under him.
And when he makes his threes, he's all by himself. When he misses his threes, he's challenged.
Yeah,
and so I have no problem with him taking those wide open threes when they're just there. Those are practice shots, right? And so those are fine. But yeah, we don't need him taking a bunch of threes. We really do. We have enough good 3-point shooters all around now, really. I mean, Austin's found his stroke. He's back over like 39% now. Rui's at 50%. D'Lo's came up on his as well. So, LeBron's over 40%. We have 3-point shooting.
We have enough 3-point shooting, and I think we're running the right amount of plays for the 3-point shot. I think this Lakers team, because when you have a player like AD and a player like LeBron, they make their money at the rim. They make their money in the paint. They have shown they're shown themselves to be excellent paint and rim players, finishers. And the idea that we should kick AD out of the paint and stash him at the 3-point line and run a bunch of plays for him to get 3-point shots just sounds crazy to me. I mean, like I said, broken play. Huh?
It is. It's crazy.
Yeah, broken play, great. Take the 3. Open shot, take the 3. 4 seconds left on the clock, take the 3. Other than that, get your butt down in the paint and back your man down and score on him, because you're elite at that. You are elite, and it's unquestionable that you're elite at that. It's why you're generating free throws. He's close to double-digit free throws per game, I think, right now. Oh, we lost. El Rob was here, and then we lost El Rob. And that's just where it's at. So I don't know what's going on.
I just noticed, Jamie, your name is now Gerald Glassford Jamie.
Is it that what it is? Okay, let's.
Hey, there he is.
What's up, El Rob?
Hey, what's up, Gerald Jamie?
I'm changing it as we speak. Hey,
Jamie. Hey, Michael. How you guys doing?
Good. How are you
doing today, man?
I'm doing excellent.
Did you get to watch the game yesterday?
I absolutely did.
What were your thoughts on the Emirates Cup Game 1-1 win?
Emerald Cup. That is nice. Good win. Good win. Was not looking so well in the first quarter or at least the first 8 minutes or so. So yeah, no, it was good. Good to see Connect get a start and play very well.
Yep.
Good to see AD looking good. Said he felt great. So yeah, no, anytime you can get a road win is good. And San Antonio have been playing good ball, so they have been winning some games. So
we were talking about Wembanyama needing to add about 20 pounds of muscle. What are your thoughts on Victor Wembanyama?
Yeah, he's man. You better get him now, because once he does add a little weight and figure out, hey, I can make a living in this paint and make it a lot easier and make my team a lot better, then it's gonna be scary. So
I agree.
Yeah, he needs some muscle because those guys, Christie and those guys getting into his
Christie is stronger than him.
Yeah, that is not good. So
stronger than him right now.
Right.
But I think you're right, Rob. I think that's a good observation. What is he, 19, 20 years old, 20, 21? He's 20.
No, 20, yeah.
Yeah, so this is what, that's, not even legal age drinking here in good old USA, so most states. And so the Wembanyama era is coming. I think it's still a good 4 or 5 years out. If it's anybody's era right now, I think it's probably Anthony Edwards, I guess. Although Jaylen Brown, the Brown Tatum connection probably would take umbrage to that.
Yeah. Joker is still the best player in the league. So
yeah, but you know what? It's hard to market a guy who doesn't want to be marketed.
That is true.
Do you know what I mean? Like, he's doing everything in his power to absolutely not be the face of the NBA, I feel like. Yeah. He's like the Greg Popovich of players, where he's like, yeah, I'm doing this interview and like whatever, but after this, I don't really want to talk to you anymore. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
when the season ends, he goes home to his horse farm.
You don't see him. He did his weird hotels.com commercial with the rookie last year, and that was kind of funny with the horse and all that. But like, he doesn't want to be the face of the league.
Well, then that would be. Anthony Edwards enjoys the spotlight.
That's what I'm saying. Anthony Edwards happy to be the face of the league.
Yeah, I don't think it's been a camera that he hasn't liked. So, and he's got the personality. So,
agreed.
Yeah. So no.
Speaking of Anthony Edwards,
I thought we was about to give you some songs, and you would go ahead and give us a little James Taylor, a little Fire and Rain.
That's right. I was doing some writing before we hopped on, so just a lot going on in the old sweet household. So when things get dour, I usually turn to a creative outlet to let it out, as opposed to I think a lot of problems people have are that they bottle their emotions up too much. And I'm not saying like we all have to sit down and like group therapy or whatever and like let it all out, but like there has to be an outlet of some sort for your woes. And so don't hold them in. Write a story, sing a song, write a poem, go to group therapy, whatever you need to do. Take care of yourself, though. Take care of yourself and your.
That is some sage advice.
Because especially the male culture in America is not really encouraged, shall we say, to be emotionally available. Yeah. And that can be a problem for a lot of us. So let's see. Oh, thanks, Search and Destroy. Thank you for hyping the 5 things on the old blog. That's right. Come by Lakerholics.com. We got all sorts of fun things to chat about. Like trades? Do you like trades? Laker Tom loves trades. He'll put a trade up at least one a week, even though there's not going to be any trades happening for at least a month.
At least
a month.
Look at the standings right now. There's literally nobody out of the playoff game yet. The East is ridiculous. They have 3 winning teams in the East.
Half the East looks like they're already out of the playoffs. They're all going for Cooper Flag.
But they're all in the play-in game because they're all losing.
As bad as Philly has started, they're still in it, right? They still have time to figure that out. That's an interesting situation to me. The Philadelphia 76ers are a great case study, and talent is not enough. Mm-hmm. Talent is not enough if it doesn't play cohesively. And they just look like a mess. I mean, having Maxey out doesn't help, and it makes you realize just how much he is the engine that makes that team go, far more so than Embiid has ever been. But you would have thought that the Paul George, Joel Embiid pairing would be enough to win these games that they've lost, the last 3 games. And they just don't look like there's any cohesion. It just looks like bad. It's just bad basketball. You want to watch great basketball? Watch the Cleveland Cavaliers. You want to watch bad basketball? Watch Philly right now.
You know, it's kind of funny. I've been watching, all the big acquisitions over the summer. Paul George. Well, we just talked about that. The Minnesota New York trade. They're both worse than they were last year. Did not work for them. The big Klay Thompson acquisition for Dallas, they're losing. I mean, he's averaging 14 on 13 shots a game. I am so glad we didn't trade for him.
Yeah,
but what they did was they gave up, to make room for him, they gave up their best perimeter defender, who's helping the Clippers stay afloat. And Jones Jr. He's helping them stay afloat with his defense. So even DeRozan in Sacramento, they're 7-6. So all of these big summer acquisitions so far has not really paid off for anybody. I mean, the Knicks not only, they also picked up
they lost DiVincenzo. That's the player that that.
Well, Minnesota got him though, Jamie.
I know, but they didn't need him the way that the Knicks needed him. The Knicks don't have a better shooter than DiVincenzo, and they still don't. They didn't get. I mean, this is again the myth of the stretch 5, right? Like this idea that Karl Anthony Towns playing at the 3-point line is going to open up the game for Jalen Brunson is to me crazy. Like, Cat, go ahead, shoot 23s, shoot 25. Keep bombing away from outside. I will. If I lose with you hitting a bunch of threes, I'll take the loss. Yeah. I'll take it because I don't believe you can do it again. Yeah. It's just not how basketball games are won. Yeah. It's funny. It's cute. It's fun for some people who like the 3-point shot a lot, I guess. Yeah. Oh, look at this really, really tall guy and he's shooting a 3.
The thing about Cat it's more destructive than that is he's not a defender. He had Gobert had his back at Minnesota, so he didn't have to be. But now he's the primary interior defender, and he's not. I mean, they were much better off with Hartenstein last year.
If I were the Knicks, I would have done everything to have kept Hartenstein.
I don't think they could have. I think there was
they could have if they had moved Randall into somebody like if they had moved Randall. If they had traded Randall into like San Antonio's cap space or some other team like that, who at the beginning of the summer had cap space and brought back a lot less money, that could have worked.
Yeah,
they chose not to do that. They chose, and for whatever reason, Leon Rose, I think, is who's the GM over and has this infatuation with Karl Anthony Towns. The Celtics had a 3-point shooting big man who was hurt, and they got better. If that doesn't show you all that you need to know about the myth of the 3-point shooting big man, that the Celtics were a better team without Kristaps Porzingis on the floor. Not his defense. Porzingis is a far better defender, far better rebounder than Cat will ever be, and that's where his loss was felt by the Celtics. Yeah. They did not miss his 3-point shooting.
But I mean, we're talking 10, 12 games into the season, so I'm going to hold off on any, right? And Philly very well could be a very good team by the end of the year. And be very good. Minnesota could be a team to be reckoned with. So it's still early.
It's still early, and these guys are all gelling, and you might even see a coaching change here or there that like fires everybody up. I don't know about maybe not. The only coach I could see getting fired is Doc Rivers, and Minnesota assures us he's safe, which if you were a Laker coach is the death knell. I don't know how it works in Milwaukee. I'm not as familiar with the inner workings and the subtext of the Milwaukee Bucks. But if you're a Lakers coach and you get the vote of confidence from the owner, that means you got a week. You got a week to turn it around or you're gone. All right, next thing I want to talk about, which was Max Christie's off the bench performance last night, and Michael touched on it a little bit. Rob, I'd like to hear your thoughts. Max Christie got his big contract, was part of the initial 9-man rotation, then got demoted, and seemed like he was maybe going to be an afterthought once D'Lo was moved to the bench, because you don't need to play a 3-guard lineup off the bench. And with Vincent kind of being a defensive stalwart, if not an offensive spark plug, there just didn't seem to be consistent minutes for Max Christie to play. And I think, I think putting Cam Reddish in the starting lineup is essential. I think it gives that starting lineup a defender when they didn't have one before. And I don't think we should go back. I don't think we should go back to starting D'Lo. But Elrob, what are your thoughts on? Before we get into that, what are your thoughts on Max Christie and just the idea of like staying ready, waiting for your number to be called again?
Yeah, I think Cam Reddish should be lauded for his being ready to be played.
Good point.
He wasn't getting minutes, and once his number was called, he went into the game and he made impact, and he's been in the lineup ever since. So, but yeah, I think Max getting that money, man. He just, he was like you said, he was playing. He was playing too stressed. He didn't seem like he was comfortable on the court. I mean, it's basketball. He seemed like he was trying to make something happen every time he got the ball, as if I got to prove it. I got to go in and finish at the rim, and just play your game, Max. To me, his strengths have always been he's a better defender than he is an offensive player.
Yeah.
And he's a very smart defender. So offense, I think he's always believed he was better than he is. And he tries to shoot himself into having confidence. And to me, that's not his strength. It's like, dude, if you open and they give it to you, shoot it. I mean, he's got great form and it looks like it go in, but his shooting percentage never, equals his how pretty his shot or how good his shot looks. But it was good to see him drive yesterday and not try to make a play for himself. Drive the ball and kick it for somebody else.
Yeah.
And don't, as soon as you get in the game, feel like you have to score. Get a feel for the game, play some defense, make some solid plays, and then, score. And you go to the rim, get you a tip in, and he played very good. So happy for him.
He's great off the ball, in my opinion. He's one of the better Lakers off the ball, and that is something that I thought. It's off the ball basketball is such a hard thing to execute consistently because it requires the defense to make a mistake, I think, more than anything else. It requires your defender to let his concentration slip and look the other way and just kind of lose track of where you are on the court.
Right.
And then on top of that, it requires you to be aware of that and make the correct read. So there's a lot that needs to go right for off the ball basketball to work as well as it can. And it's not something that you can just like coach or scheme for with your offense.
Right.
It is something that you can implore your team to like look for over the course of the game. And I think that Redick does a good job of doing that. And I thought that Ham did a pretty good job of doing that last year too. I thought, when you see a guy make a nice backdoor cut when the guy turns his head, that's great basketball. You're generally going to get a high quality shot out of that.
Yeah. But it's got to be instinctual. You just got to have a feel for the game and know to do those things. You can't.
Right.
That's the play isn't, hey, this guy is going to turn his head at the 18-second mark of the shot clock and then you cut. Right. I mean, you just got to know to do some of those things.
Right. That's not the play. That's a good point.
It's good. It's good to see Max play good. You're going to need everybody, you need 10 guys who can contribute. So it's good. Max is important that he shows himself capable because injuries going to happen. Guys are going to, not have good games, and it's good to have a guy that you can throw in there. And it's good to see a coach, Redick is going to stick with guys. You don't feel burdened to put certain guys back in the game. Hey, if a guy,
that's huge. Actually, that's a huge thing because a lot of coaches go by their rotations. The rotations is the rotation. He rides people. If they're like Connect the game before was hot, he rode him. And Max was doing just a bang-up job defensively, so he rode him, and he took he took Dalton's minutes, but that's okay because, he was providing the defense that they needed at the time. So, yeah, that's a huge thing when a coach will do that. A lot of times they just, okay, it's time for my sub, so I'm going to do it now, and that's, that was good the way. My big right now is I'm kind of bummed out because on paper we have a lot of length, right? But Rui's questionable. He's 6'8". Cam is questionable. He's 6'8". Jackson Hayes is out. He's 7 foot. Woods out. He's 6'10". Bando, he's 6'9". All of our length is out or questionable.
Yeah.
That really sucks.
I mean, that's Mobley was out last night for the Cavs. They still won. That's the day-to-day of the NBA, and that's in sport in general, and except baseball. Baseball guys seem to they're never hurt, but they're hurt all the time.
We're kind of a team for this next game tonight. We're kind of a team that, we got AD and LeBron and a bunch of 6'5" guys.
I mean, Coloco's out there. Watching. I know Laker Tom was super. I know Laker Tom's super high on Christian Coloco, and
he had him starting before he ever played.
I know, before he was even cleared to play. I know. And also stretch 5 somehow, or has the potential to be one. And I don't think I've seen him take a jump shot, so I don't know where that comes from. But I will forever say that this is a great investment contract by the Lakers. This 2-way contract for Christian Coloco is a great investment. It's a smart use of the 2-way contract. I think he's a better prospect than Castleton was. And that's great.
But he's still a prospect.
But he's at best a prospect. And you saw it last night. When he got constantly lost on defense, when he didn't really seem to know where to go on offense. Like, there were guys constantly telling him where to go. And it's like, okay, you weren't in camp playing, but you were at camp. So you should kind of know what we're trying to run in any given moment. So I just think he's a guy who needs seasoning. I think he needs to play as much in the G League as he does anything else, along with Bronny, along with Olivari, all those guys who are prospects. That's what they are. They're prospects. You hope that they're going to get better. You hope that they're going to work on their games. You hope that they're going to eat right, work out right, do all the things right, so that they improve their bodies and their minds and become better basketball players and, in theory, human beings. So to that, I still think that, we need Hayes. We need Hayes back ASAP because he is clearly a better player at this stage of his career than Coloco is. And there's still upside with Jackson Hayes. Now, Jackson Hayes may or may not get suspended by the league for some number of games. If that happens, that's a bummer. And the Lakers may need to look outside and see what they can drag out from who hasn't been signed. There's not a lot of great players. My coworker is big on the Lakers picking up Dwight Howard again. And it just makes me think of the Tyson fight last night. I'm like, I don't know. Do we really need 7,000-year-old Dwight Howard come in?
I was with him a couple years ago, but at this point, yeah.
No, I just think he's just going to get.
The problem with that, Jamie, is we can't. We're only $45,000 under the apron. We can't cut somebody.
No. We would have to trade.
We have to trade somebody.
We'd have to trade Cam Reddish. Cam Reddish is the only person you could trade into somebody's cap space for a second rounder, and I think he's playing well enough to show that he would be a contributor. You could make that deal right now, but the problem is the Lakers need Cam Reddish because Vando's out, and so there's no move to be made. So there's no help on the horizon. You're not going to trade. You're not going to bring another 2-way guy who's going to be any better than Coloco is, right? So of the 2-way potential contracts out there, I see Coloco as probably being the best option. And that's great. That means he can play. How many games has he played in? 3 or 4 already? 5? Yeah. He's got 40 games left.
Well, 50.
How many years did he play in Arizona, Coloco?
For college?
Yeah.
I don't think more than a year.
Yeah, he only played a year, I believe.
I think he played a year and was another lottery pick. And Hayes was a lottery pick. Everybody wants to forget Jackson Hayes, I think, was like the number 8 or 9 pick in the draft.
9. Yeah, he was 9.
And so we've got a lot of like lottery guys in the system, got top 10 picks who weren't ours that have just sort of played out of their deals. And I think that that's fine. The thing is like they're available for a reason. If a team doesn't re-sign you to your rookie contract or re-up your rookie contract, there's a reason for that, and that's that they're eyeing somebody who's better, and that's not like, oh man, we just can't figure out how to keep this guy. It's that, well, this guy isn't as good as we thought. We've taken this as far as we feel comfortable taking it, and we're going to put our money behind somebody else, and that's professional sports at every level.
Yeah, the good news is that the the Pellies today, they lack any kind of size whatsoever right now. Well, so it's not going to hurt us that much today. No. But going forward, we got to get some of these long guys back. We got to get some long guys back, and we need Hayes back. And Jackson Hayes, interestingly enough, is maybe one of the linchpins for the Lakers' success, because when he plays well, I think we win. When he's engaged in the game and is rebounding and defending at the ability that he has, and he's never going to be like a mountain that you can't move, but he's agile and he's fast, and when he makes the right reads, he can cover a lot of ground. And that's what I wish and hope that he's focusing on. That the one thing I would like to see him improve on, and he can, is he needs to learn shot blocking angles better than he's right now. Because the guy's super athletic, and he's long, he's athletic. He just seems to come in at the wrong angle a lot and misses the block opportunity. If he could really hone that skill down, he would be even more serviceable than he is right now.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And it's not just shot blocking for the angles; it's just for basic defense too. I mean, if he takes the wrong, he's not in the right spot, and it's just that split second that'll get you a foul every time that you're a second late and you're getting a foul instead of being there in time.
He has been better at that this year, though. He hasn't racked up as many fouls as he has in the past.
I mean, he's getting playing time that he didn't really get in New Orleans, I feel like, because they had Valanciunas.
Yeah. Yeah, he's proven to be better this year. He's played better this year so far, so that's a positive.
I really would like to see him be I think he tops out as like a JaVale McGee type, right? Like a JaVale McGee who's a little more athletic than he is like DeAndre Jordan was like a bulky, long athletic guy and kind of a freak of nature because he was strong in a way that you were surprised at given his height and build. He just understood how to use his body really, really well. And you think that like, oh, you're a big man, you should just understand how to do that. A lot of these are skills. A lot of these are skills that somebody like drilled into these young men in high school and AAU ball. And then it depends on how well they take the lesson. You don't just come out as a tall person understanding how to use your body correct on NBA at an NBA level of defense. Right. So that's something that we'll just have to see. We'll just have to see we'll just have to see what happens with the league and their look, into his whole domestic abuse thing, which is an unfortunate blemish, and we hope that he's certainly learned his lesson about. And listen, people, anger is never the right path. I don't care who you are. You're not going to fix anything. Getting so mad at somebody you throw or spit or just come on, step it up, people. It's 2020. It's 2024. We got 2 months of democracy left. Let's make the most out of it. Anyway, I forgot. Jared doesn't like to talk politics. Anyway, the other thing I want to talk about, because it's working so well, and I don't see a reason to go back from it, is D'Angelo Russell coming off the bench. And I'm sure D'Angelo Russell is not happy about it. I'm sure he sees himself as a starter. I would agree that he has the skill set to be a starter. It's just that on this team, he or Reeves has to come off the bench. Rob, what do you think about that?
100% agree. I mean, if he's upset about it, he has no one to blame but himself. Right. He played poorly. It's not like the coach just said, hey, we're going to just arbitrarily put you on the bench. No, when you play, you play yourself onto the bench by playing so bad. I mean, him and Reeves started off last year, both being terrible. So Darvin Ham made a decision and he sent Reeves to the bench.
Yep.
People were like, hey, why? This is the best starting five. How could you bench someone? Because they're playing bad. So D'Lo, you know what? He's played very good off the bench. I mean, yesterday his defense was even passable. It wasn't, that's the best I've ever seen him play defense.
He was really active in the passing lanes last night.
He wasn't getting blown by. He was engaged. So yes, he's looking like he's thriving in that role. So yeah, and if he plays well enough, he'll close games. And really that's the most important thing is who's closing more than who's starting.
He did close the game last night. Although I did see Redick, the last 5 minutes was an interesting case study in JJ Redick's coaching, because he made a lot of little lineup tweaks over the course of those last 5 minutes. D'Lo was out, D'Lo was back in. LeBron James gets like a 45-second break with under 4 minutes to go.
Yeah.
To like make sure he's fresh for the last 2 minutes.
And there's the back-to-back timeouts. Timeout, one play, timeout.
They took a timeout. He took a timeout. Like, let's get some rest. Let's get fresh. And I think that those I still have problems with our transition defense. I have problems with our defense in general. I have to say, overall, I am pleased with how JJ Redick is coaching the team so far. What are we, 10 games in, 11 games in now? Almost 10 games. We're about 10 games in, right?
No, we're 8-4 right now, so 12 games in.
12 games in. Thank you. I don't know math. I'm pleasantly surprised. I never thought the offense would be a problem. I like how it's evolved though. Like I appreciate this style of basketball very much, where it's pass focused and not ISO focused. I appreciate that he has made the annual AD is going to be taking the torch, blah blah blah. He didn't even say anything about that. He just is like, he's going to be the hub. We're going to function out of AD on the post, and that's what they're doing.
Getting back to D'Lo for a second, and this coaching move, it wasn't even that he was playing bad. It was just that he didn't have a role. I mean, maybe
that's why he was playing bad.
The bench was playing bad.
Yeah, there was but there was Austin and D'Lo are kind of redundant, right? And then you had to throw in, LeBron as well. Since D'Lo's went to the bench, this is when LeBron started picking up all these assists, because now he's the second. He was the third guy with the ball. Now he's the second guy with the ball, and on the second unit, D'Lo is now running the show, or second with LeBron. Yeah. So he's got a role now, much more bigger role than he had as a starter, and I think that's why it's working.
I agree, and I think that Reeves is on a team with LeBron and AD. Like, you don't need a Tyrese point guard. You don't need a true point guard. You don't need a Tyrese Maxey era style point guard. It would almost be redundant. And I always felt the same way when people are like, "Oh, we got to pair Kobe Bryant with a great point guard." Why?
Yeah.
We
won a championship with two shooting guards starting.
We had Steve Nash as a point guard, and Kobe turned him into a corner spot-up shooter. That was Steve Nash's role on the Lakers. Now, part of it was that Steve Nash was breaking down physically, but it was also that Kobe knew, like, bro, I'm better than you. I can do everything you can do already, and I don't need you to set me up. I'm not some lumbering big man who's like, where are my shots going to come from? I know where my shots are coming from. I know where I'm going to score, and I don't need you to pass me the ball. And so on a team like that, with a player like that, you don't need a great point guard. You need a great defensive point guard, and that's why I think we picked up Gabe Vincent. And I think that's why Derek Fisher had the career that he had next to Kobe Bryant, was because he was able to be the best version of himself, which was catch and shoot three-point shooter, drive when the lane is there, and play great defense. Yeah. That's it. That's all you need.
That's what Gabe Vincent. Even on the second unit, he's a secondary ball handler. He's not running the show. He's there to play defense. Yeah. He's there to play defense. When we won the championship, we had Danny Green and KCP starting guards. No point guard at all, because we had LeBron running the show. And so LeBron's older now, and it's good to have at least somebody to share the primary playmaking duty. So that you got Austin that can do that.
Yeah.
So it works for all the way around. I think it was a great move, and I even question whether D'Lo's really that upset about it. He seems to be playing a lot freer than he did before the move. So
yeah, here's the thing. He's got a contract. He's in a contract year, though. So.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. Yeah. He understands that, like, any pouting, any static he generates is just going to come back to haunt him in a couple of months, and that he's got to put on a happy face. He's got to be pro whatever the coach does, and he's got to just keep playing the best he can. And I'm sure that it's everybody in his life telling him that, his agent telling him that, and I'm sure he's not happy about it. I mean, I understand he's putting on a happy face, but if you don't get to this level without an incredible amount of personal pride and self-confidence. You just don't. And so to be demoted is nothing anybody ever wants to go through. Nobody wants to be demoted, not one person. So I don't care who you are. You don't want to take less money. You don't want to take less of a role. You don't want to be less featured when you've worked your entire life to be good at something. So I think it should be commended and applauded that D'Lo is taking it this well. And I appreciate his sacrifice because it makes the Lakers a better team. And if he wins a title, and I don't think he will win Sixth Man of the Year, but if somehow he wins Sixth Man of the Year, that will be reflected back at him come contract time. And it'll either be with the Lakers, which I kind of doubt because I don't think we have the money, or with another team that says, look at the growth this guy has gone through. And that doesn't mean he'll be a sixth man for the rest of his life. Although, as a lot of players say, like once you become that sixth man, there's really no going back. Everybody kind of pigeonholes you in that, whether you deserve it or not. And there's probably
with the other thing, his production is making him more money than his starting was.
That's I guess what I'm saying is that, like, if you can produce off the bench in the NBA, and if you accept the demotion with a smile, you will still make money. There are plenty of six men who make plenty of money, who are going to go into the NBA Hall of Fame, who are regarded as some of the best players to have ever played the game. Michael Cooper, Jordan Crawford, Sweet Lou, like
Manu Ginobili.
Ginobili was legendary in the six-man role. Great teams need a great six-man, and that's just how it is. It's just the way the game is played. And so, like I said, I commend and applaud D'Angelo Russell for taking this demotion in stride. I kind of don't see it as a demotion. Like it's like a lateral. Like, yeah, you want to start, but like Gail Rob said, who's finishing? If you're on the court in closing moments, that means the coach trusts you. That means you have value. It means you're important. And it's a little less. I think having Cam Reddish in the starting lineup helps set more of a defensive tone, and allows Cam Reddish to feature himself, like to be the best version of Cam. I don't think Cam's a great off the bench player. I think he's a better starter. I think that if you can put him on the other team's, best slasher, you're going to help yourself win basketball games. And I think that that's what the starting lineup was needed, and D'Lo or Reeves was what the bench needed in order to really jam on and play well. All right, so we got a game today. Seems like everybody's going to play. We've got 27 questionable players, but that's fine. Everybody's questionable in the NBA until game time. And then they play. What are your thoughts on today's game?
Well, this is a game we should win without much difficulty. However, I've watched the NBA a lot, many, many, many years, and a team that is decimated by injury, sometimes they're like a wounded animal cornered in a corner, and they fight like hell. You've got guys that never get an opportunity to play that are playing, and they're going to give it 150%. So these kind of games can be a trap game. We got to be on our toes. We can't let anybody become a star. Let BI get his and then stop everybody else, and just take care of business, because these guys are NBA players and they're not going to just lay down for you because they got a bunch of hurt players. So it's I think they'll win, but they got to be careful.
Rob?
Yep, I would agree with what Michael said. You should win these games. I'm sure the Lakers are going to be favored by 5 or 4 or 5 points or whatever, which is no small feat, being on the road and being as poorly as the Lakers have played on the road. So, but yeah, when the team is missing 3 of their key guys, there's no reason you should go in there and lose to them with LeBron and AD playing. So, AD is always a tough matchup for those guys. So, he always plays well going back to New Orleans. So, should be a solid Laker win, and you need to bank all of these wins because you don't never know when something comes up where you may be in a rough patch, and so you don't want to be hovering around 500. You don't want to. Lakers had a pretty favorable schedule after the couple games against Phoenix earlier in the year, so they need to make hay while they can in this part of the schedule.
Yeah, that was one of the bummers about the road trip. Was I felt like there were probably 2 games on that road trip. I thought we could have won the Phoenix game, gave it away, and I thought we should have played better against Detroit than we showed up. Than we did. And those 2. There's always like, between 5 and 10 games at the end of the season. Everybody's like, oh, well, it's just another W or L in the column. And I'm like, nah, dude, I remember those games. I remember those games that we dropped that we should have won. And you look at like how many games out from a spot that you really want to be in the standings. And it matters. It ends up mattering a lot. And everybody's like, oh, the regular season's such a grind. It doesn't matter. It absolutely matters.
Yeah, we lost a lot of games last year to bad teams.
Oh, yeah. No,
we beat a lot of good teams, but we also lost a lot of games to bad teams.
Easily 5 to 10 games every season. And that's not just a Laker thing. That's every team in any sport ever. But I think it's interesting that we're playing the Pelicans because of the Brandon Ingram situation, and that obviously it's no shocker that Brandon Ingram and the New Orleans Pelicans are far apart on contract extensions. They've had to be tabled because they can't offer an extension anymore, I believe. And as a result, he's probably going to be an unrestricted free agent if he stays a Pelican. Well, he'll be an unrestricted free agent one way or the other. Whether he's a Pelican or not at that time, I guess remains to be seen. Is there a world, because we could put together the contracts to trade for BI, is there a world where BI makes us better at the expense of D'Lo, Hachimura, Hood-Schifino, Christie, somebody like that, and a couple first rounders?
I don't think so.
Rob?
Man, I mean, if you're not giving up anything really to get him, to having another guy who can create his own shot, that's a plus to me. Yeah, so yeah, we would be better with BI, assuming we're not, of course, you're giving up a couple of draft choices. I'm just going to look at the players on the court. If we give up a D'Lo for BI, yeah, that's an upgrade. So yeah.
You would have to give up to make the money work, you would have to give up Hachimura and D'Lo. Giving
up those 2 I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. I mean, keep your chemistry going. See what you got. It looks like, with Connect playing good, you got some outside shooting and you got scoring. I wouldn't. I'm not a trader. I'm not a trader Jack type of guy though. So
me either. Tom would have made far.
I think you need cohesive. You need cohesion, and it takes time for a group to get together and to play together and to get that chemistry together. So
my biggest thing is, I've always been a big BI fan.
Me too.
He's a really solid player, but he wants a full maximum contract.
Yeah,
he's not putting up those kind of numbers. He's not a take over the game superstar. He's an all-star quality player, but he's not a superstar quality player. And he's wanting way too much money. He's wanting more money than he's worth. And that's why there's been the hang up on his contract with the Pelicans, is because he's asking for a full-blown maximum extension, and they're not willing to give him that, and I wouldn't be willing to give him that either.
No, that'll be the problem.
He's not a $50 million a year guy. He's a $30 million a year guy, $35 million. He's not a $50 million a year guy.
Yeah.
I tend to agree. I think we're all in agreement. I mean, I've been a big BI fan. I was really, really happy to see his career kind of take off after he, was traded from the Lakers, and he turned it up pretty quickly once he was like the focal point, like the clear focal point of the team. And then, obviously you don't skip on Zion Williamson because you have Brandon Ingram on the team, but I do feel like that's a pretty poor pairing in some ways for both players. BI needs the ball in his hands. Zion needs the ball in his hands, and so there's only
that's another problem for us too. Is that BI needs the ball in his hands? That
would be a problem for the Lakers. You're not gonna give the ball to LeBron James. I mean, I understand LeBron's coming up on 40 here, but you're gonna put the ball in LeBron's hands.
Yeah,
BI's last year with the Lakers. He was kind of not doing all that great and everything. And then LeBron got hurt and went out for the rest of the year. BI came in and he was tearing the league apart because now he had the ball in his hands.
Right.
And that's what that's the same problem that the Minnesota's having with Randall. He's another guy that needs the ball in his hands.
Absolutely has to have the ball in his hands. He is not a spot up shooter. He is not a catch and shoot guy. He's not Ray Allen.
So the fit has to be there as well as the skill. The fit has to be right.
I would say this: if after this season LeBron says, I'm opting out of the last year of my contract, I'm done, I'm retiring, I would then offer BI whatever we could offer him, right?
Yeah, that would make sense then. Right.
It would make a lot more sense at that point. Trading for him, where I agree, like giving up Russell, if you could somehow convince the Pelicans to take Russell, JHS, Christie, and I don't know what other players you would need to put in there to make the math work. Okay, sure, whatever. You're not giving up a ton. You put BI at the point, or shooting guard, keep Reeves at the point. That's fine. It'll work. It might not be great. Probably won't win a championship, but you're really just getting them on a 1-year rental at that point. And so why are you giving up all this stuff?
Right.
Why the Lakers need draft picks. So you can't, you got to use those for a guy you intend to keep or is under contract or isn't going to price himself off your team. And BI can easily price himself off the team if we trade for him, because then we can pay him more. Yeah. Anyway, it's an interesting thing. I expect Brandon Ingram to have a big game. He usually has big games against the Lakers, as a lot of the ex-Lakers tend to have big games against us. I hope it's not a trap game. It's a back-to-back. It could be a trap game. We have a tendency to play down to bad teams, like we saw against Detroit. Same thing we did last year. And it's not, again, that's not a Laker-specific issue. A lot of teams do that, and that's just how it is. But in general, I have to say we've really turned it around from that road trip. Winning on the road in San Antonio is big. If we can win tonight on the road, that'll start to push our record back towards 500. I think we all agree you need to be a 500 team on the road to be considered a true contending team. And that has to be the goal. The goal has to be you win like 3 or 4 more games in a row on the road, get that record to 500, and then keep it there. Maybe even push it north of 500 a little bit. I'll take a 555 winning percentage on the road. That's fantastic. For the NBA, especially considering where we're at in the West and that we're going to be playing a lot more Western Conference teams. But like you said, Rob, we got to make hay. You got to make hay when you can with your scheduling. And this is one of those games that, yes, it's a back-to-back. Yes, we just played an Emirates Cup game and are 1-0 in tournament play. You got to show up tonight, play defense, execute, win the ball game. And if we do that, I think we got a good shot. Anything else anybody would like to add? Anything you'd like? Any virtues you'd like to extol or points you'd like to make before we sign off for the afternoon?
It's good to be have a comfortable record and you're not fighting uphill like we've done for the last few seasons. So it's good to be in the solidly in head above water at this point in the season. So.
One comment that came to mind about the last game last night, and AD had a fantastic game, 40 points. The guy could have scored over 50, but he missed like 3 or 4 bunnies he almost always makes. He missed shots on fouled at the rim that he always makes for and ones. I mean, they were lucky he only scored 40 points.
AD looks amazing this season. AD looks like the player I'd hoped we would have every for the last 3 years. Yeah. And I know that like the bubble really, the transition from the bubble championship to the next season did no favors to the Los Angeles Lakers. It did zero. I think it took him 2 years to recover from that stretch of play for whatever reason. Yeah. And I'm glad that he was able to persevere through the negativity, through the doubt, and be this guy, because this is who I had hoped we had traded for all along. And seeing him play like this is really, really exciting because the guy is just playing the best basketball I think he's ever played in his life.
And it's kind of fun too because he loves crushing guys that are supposed to be better defenders than him.
Oh yes,
he loves doing that. I mean, he dropped 36 on what's his name, Stifle Tower.
Yeah, Gobert.
He dropped 35, 36 on him. He hammered Wemby, and it could have been a lot worse than it was. 40 points is generous. So yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of AD, last 4 games, he is 8 out of 12 from 3-point range. So he's at a 6
because he's getting wide open looks.
He's getting wide open looks, and he's shooting them late in the clock. But
he's not opening up. He's not. That's not his first option. He's waiting later on. He's usually waiting later in the game.
Yep.
Take those shots, and he's knocking them down. So
I love it. I love this version of AD, the 3-point shooter. As Rob, you might not have heard, or maybe we talked about it, I can't remember. Were you around when Michael and I were talking about, well, I don't necessarily want to see plays run for AD to shoot threes, but I don't mind when he takes, okay. We're all in agreement on that, right? Yeah. We don't want to see, absolutely. He's not, I think we all made the point. He's not a movement shooter. He's a catch and shoot. He's a much better catch and shoot. You want his foundation set, feet set, all that jazz.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
This is the best version of AD the Lakers have ever gotten. And if he can do this all season long, I don't see why he won't be one of the top 3 MVP candidates.
And if our record's good enough, he could win it.
If our record's good enough, he could win it. I mean, obviously, Jokic is phenomenal. Jokic has already missed a couple of games. AD's already missed 1 or 2 games. Just one. Just one so far. And I think Jokic has missed 2. So, that's the thing. But if he can avoid injury and if the team can keep playing like this, I like his chances of being a top 3 MVP candidate. I don't know about Defensive Player of the Year. Gobert's sole focus in life is to be Defensive Player of the Year, and he's in a position to be that player. So it's hard for me to see somebody taking that away from him. I would say that Wembanyama actually has the best shot at that. We'll see. How that all works out.
If AD didn't win it last year, I mean, he was incredible on defense.
I know.
I mean,
he wasn't even like
he's more on the offensive end. He's kind of sacrificed. He's not the same demon on defense so far this year. Last year he was incredible. He was the Defensive Player of the Year, hands down.
I would agree with you,
but I think really the Lakers record or whatever rationale they use to not give it to him.
The thing that always irritates me about AD being overlooked is Gobert can't defend the perimeter. AD can't. AD can defend point guards.
Yeah,
I've seen Gobert get played off the floor because he couldn't defend in space.
Yeah,
Wemby's the same way. He can't defend the perimeter that well either. And it's like AD, he shuts down. He guards 1 through 5, but he's never given credit for that, and that really bugs me.
Well, and he's playing it with a guy in LeBron James who they're like, you need to just guard this 12-foot space of court. LeBron, you're responsible for this tiny bit of real estate, and that's it. And that's the wise thing to do, right? You don't want LeBron running all over the court on defense.
That's why I never, Tom always wants to make LeBron a wing. LeBron's in the right defensively. He's in the right spot as a power forward.
He's not a center. Wing, he's a power forward now, and that's
and he sits back. He's the best part of his defensive game is he sits back, watches what's going on. He calls out defenses.
Yep.
And he has this intuition so he jumps passing lanes, things like that, gets some steals.
He's rebounding great this year.
Yeah, and rebounding is up as well. So he's in the right spot.
Yeah, I agree. Real quick, we kind of talked about this. Somebody posed a question: is BI worth a max contract? I don't think anybody here thinks BI is worth max money.
No.
Having said that, I think there's a good 20% of the contracts that have been given to players that are not deserving, maybe more.
There's only like 5 guys that I think deserve it.
It seems like you give it to anybody who's averages 20 points on 45% shooting with some other ancillary stats there that support your case for making max money. Part of that's the NBA cap structure. Part of that is just the way contracts are structured in the NBA. If you make an all rookie team, if you make an all NBA team, you vault yourself into another, tier of earning. Whether it's all deserved or not is sort of beside the point. I don't think in terms of like building out a competitive roster, unless you're building a roster around Brandon Ingram, it doesn't make sense to give him max money. Yeah. And I don't think you can build a title-winning team around Brandon Ingram. I think he's a great player. I think he's a great second option on any team, especially one who's maybe not a point guard.
He'd be the third option here.
He would be, at best, he's a third option on the Lakers, right? Yeah. You might even have an argument that Reeves is a better third option than BI is because of his ability to get to the rim.
One thing that I think that the new CBA has done, and I've seen it a little bit so far, and it'll be interesting going forward. These young players with high potential but haven't really blossomed to that potential yet are going to stop getting those maximum rookie extensions. They used to give those out on potential alone, and I don't think you're going to see it as much.
We'll see. That's interesting because I feel like there's two schools of thought there. One is, has he earned it? Probably not. The other is, but will he? And if he does, and he does it on another team, I'm going to get fired.
Yeah, and it's your property, and if you lose that person, that's a tough one. I know the Pistons just kind of went
because the Lakers are a great case study of we let guys go and we're not getting equitable return back. Yeah. We let Scottie Pippen Jr. go for nothing. We let Jay Huff go for nothing. We let Randall go for nothing. We have not gotten equitable return back on a lot of those guys that walked out the door. Yeah. And so, especially for a team like the Lakers that is short on draft picks, you can't really keep missing on those guys.
Oh, you know what? One other point that brings up, I think the Lakers might have had another fine now in Quincy. Dropped 33 yesterday.
In the G League? Yeah, he looks great. Game. And there were people who were claiming, I think Tom was chief among them, claiming, wanted to see Olivari get Max Christie's minutes. Listen, I'm sure he'll get some playing time at the NBA level. I really think all three of those guys, Koloko, Olivari, and Bronny, they just need to dominate the G League. Just focus on excelling at the G League level, work on your game, work on your body, get yourself right. Put yourself in the best possible position to succeed when it's your time at the NBA level. Injuries or circumstances may dictate that Olivari comes up early. If that's not the case, you have to give Max. You gave him the money. You have to give him the chance. You can't give him the money and be like 10 games in, pull the plug and be like, this guy's garbage. It doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make any sense to me at all because then why did you give him the money? That means Rob Pelinka is the worst GM in the well.
At least the one thing that with Quincy, though, right now, he's probably better than Bronny, better than and better than Lewis right now. He's probably better than all three of those guys.
He's better than Cam Reddish, for sure. But that's not my point. My point is that, he won't be that player on this team. He won't be playing 35 minutes a game, taking 15, 20 shots. He's gonna have to fit. So that's what I'm saying. My point is, it's not that I don't think he's good. It's that this team doesn't need him the way he's good yet. And if he can't or isn't as good in a much more defined and confined role, then it's better for all parties involved if he continues to excel at the G League level. We have him under contract. We can promote him from a two-way if we lose some guys. He would be my first choice to promote off of two-way, not Koloko. Some may disagree, and that's fine. But the point being is that this team doesn't need that guy right now. What we need is Max Christie to do what he did last night. Max Christie doing what he did last night allowed us to win the basketball game. Yeah, we're not going to put him in.
Vando come back with energy. Yeah,
what was that?
And we need energy guys like Vando. We need this team.
That's going to be interesting when Vando comes back. See what happens.
We need defense and energy. I'm not worried about guys scoring or guys that bring that's primary skill is I need the ball and I can score. That's nice to have, but right now that's not our biggest need.
I agree. I think Vando, to your point, Michael, I think when Vando comes back, he supplants Cam Reddish. I think Vando is the better version of Cam Reddish.
Yeah, I do too.
I hope that he is still after multiple foot injuries and surgery. So that's something that remains to be seen. He's not even cleared to he's not even playing contact yet. So he seems like he's a month away at best at every point that I ever hear any update. And
well, there's been, this is the thing about it. I wonder about the Lakers if they hide players' injuries from us or if they just have a totally incompetent medical staff.
I think probably a little bit of both.
Because we never, it's always 2 weeks away, 1 week away. Oh, it's going to be it's like, well, what's wrong with the guy? Is he going to play or not?
Jared Coolidge asked Quincy better than Gabe Vincent. Again, for what you're asking of Quincy Oliveri, I think Gabe Vincent is the better player right now. And that's
on the defensive end.
That's exactly the right thing. Right. Rob, thoughts on, what are your thoughts on Gabe Vincent at this point in general?
We need somebody like Gabe Vincent who's a smart player, who's going to defend the ball, who's going to bring hustle, who doesn't need the ball. Now he needs to make some shots at some point.
Yeah.
He did make a couple last game, but that's not why that's if his main benefit is I'm on the ball defender and I'm going to defend guys and I'm going to play smart. So I haven't seen Q play enough to have any idea. Only thing I can see is the box scores. He scores so many points. Just being a rookie player, I'm going to assume that Gabe's got a lot more savviness to his game.
That's great.
And he's gotten a lot more equity with referees where he can get away with. I've seen Gabe Vincent get away with stuff that Christie's going to get called fouls for.
Right.
So I can't imagine what Q would definitely be on the bench if he tried to defend somebody like Gabe does. So
Gabe gets in it. Gabe gets up in it. I like how Gabe defends.
The thing about with the Lakers is everybody's always wanting to give us. They want us to trade for offensive players. They want to bring more off. We can score the ball. We're one of the best offenses. We're in the top 5, I think, scoring.
Yeah, right now we're a top 5 offense in the NBA. Yeah. We are a bottom 3rd defense, and that
exactly. Why does everybody want us to trade for more offense? It's crazy.
Nobody wants grit. Everybody wants flash. That's why nobody wants grit. Everybody wants flash, and that's America, people. So I'm not going to shy away from it. I'm not too afraid of anybody disagreeing with me. It's fine. Go ahead, disagree. See if I care. I don't, by the way. Michael, you've been a big fan of Gabe Vincent. You've been a big proponent of him. I've been off and on, just because I haven't seen him. Last season was such a disappointment. He didn't really play till the end, and when he did finally start playing, it was not overwhelming on either end. Granted, he was knocking off rust and trying to get acclimated to what we were doing during the playoffs on the floor, so not an ideal situation for him. Came into this season a lot healthier. As we've all noticed, his shot isn't there yet, especially his 3-point shot. What he did last night that I liked was he took it to the hole a little more, and I think too few players do that when they're struggling with their outside shot. And good coaches will say, man, just go get a layup. Just watch that ball go through the net one time. You're going to feel better. Then shoot a shot. But you've been a big supporter of Gabe Vincent, and I think Rob's point about his defense being absolutely essential for this team is valid. Is there anything else you'd like to add to that pile of compliments?
Well, actually, with Gabe, first of all, let's not forget, he didn't get signed because of his offense.
Right.
Okay. That was not the reason we signed him. He had complimentary offense, but I don't even think he's averaged more than 10 points a game in any season he's played. He's not an offensive-minded guy, and he's not even a floor general type. He's there because he can clamp down on, and not only point guards, even though he's not tall, he can guard guys that are 6'5", 6'6", 6'7". Yeah. He gets into their body, and
Rob's point, there's the way he plays defense. Some guys wouldn't be able to get away with that because he is up in it. He's up in the jersey, man. He is not giving you any space at all.
You know how Max Christie was getting into Wemby's legs? Yep. I'm sure he learned that from Gabe Vincent because Gabe Vincent does that all the time.
Yeah.
He'll get into these bigger players' legs, take away their jumping ability, you know. And so, yeah, I mean, he's only scoring a couple points a game. I would like to see him get 5 or 6 more a game. I'd like to see him get 6 to 8 points a game on efficient points.
Yes. I don't care how many points it is, as long as you're not shooting 16%.
Yeah.
That's the key. It's that you can't be a non-entity on offense. There's very few Tony Allens in the league. There are very few successful Tony Allens in the NBA, and you have to be a better defender than Gabe Vincent is in order to justify your presence on defense if you're a net negative on offense.
Yeah, he has to be more efficient offensively. He doesn't have to score a lot.
Yeah.
But he does have to become more efficient.
Yeah, just make those open threes. You're going to get open threes. Don't worry about it. Just keep shooting them. They're going to start going in. The law of averages will hopefully.
Last night, he had a couple. The first one, he hesitated, missed.
Yep.
Second one, he just threw it up, made it.
Yeah, well, and I think I remember after that first one, I want to say it was D'Lo. Somebody got on him a little bit walking to the sideline. Somebody was like, "Come on, man, you got to just shoot it. Like, stop thinking."
Thinking is the worst thing that a shooter can do.
Both Gabe Vincent and Max Christie have started the season thinking way too much, and I hope that they stop.
Yeah.
Just on the basketball court. Think all the time.
It's a Zen thing. Don't think, just do.
That's right. All right. Before we head out, anything else anybody wants to add? Or
no.
All right. Well, I'd like to thank Rob and Michael H. for joining me this afternoon or morning or evening, wherever you have.
Morning here.
That's right. Morning in Hawaii. Still technically. Oh no, we're into the afternoon here in good old California, and we're definitely in the afternoon in Michigan.
Oh yeah, it'll be turning night in a few hours here. It'll be dark in an hour and a half.
Let's hope the Lakers pull another one out. A nice little road winning streak would be a great way to finish off this week. And here's hoping they have it in them. Thanks, and thanks to Laker Tom for Lakerholics.com. Come on by Lakerholics.com. We're blathering and blabbing away, and you can too. Thanks Xbox Game Pass for the compliment, and thanks to our chat in general for being incredible and amazing. Please subscribe, like, rate, rank, vote, all the things that help boost the channel and make it more viable. And to that, thank you, Jared Glassford, for hosting us. So everybody have a great afternoon and go Lakers.
Aloha.
See you guys.